don't take no's. Don't let them devastate you. There will be a yes. The more emails, the more pitches you send out, bigger chance you'll get more yeses. So don't give up. You have to be persistent and just keep going.
What's up, small business heroes? I'm so excited to have someone today that I think you're really going to enjoy her interview. So, Tijana Ibrahimovic, she is an incredible journalist, international broadcast TV segments. She's done the red carpets thing, the award shows. She's interviewed some of the most famous people alive today and in the past. For example, Steven Spielberg, Wendy Williams, Oscar de la Renta, Joan Rivers, and so many more. She now has founded Pop Style TV, and she can tell you a little bit more about that, but I cannot wait to dig into it. So, the first question is, what is the biggest difference between pitching for a broadcast live TV segment and pitching for like a Well and Good or kind of an online journal and blog?
Hi, Gloria. Well, thank you, first of all, for having me. I'm excited to get to know your listeners and your viewers. It is an honor to be here. And I would love to share some of the things that I've learned, working in media for the past, I'd say, almost over a decade. And I think pitching, online platforms, media in general is changing all the time. So you do have to keep up with the trend. So it's really great to have this type of programming where people can learn and get updated on whatever is currently happening or what is currently in trend. There used to be uh, different type of pitching, like, let's say, desk side, where they want journalists to come and like actually have a meeting in person. That changed a lot. Those no longer really exist. I think when you get an email asking you for a desk side meeting, is it's surprise. It's like a surprise, and they rarely actually happen. So I'd rather get an invite to like a little lunch or something like that, or a coffee. So that's like more personal and more direct kind of meeting. But I I do want to say, number one, it's very important that the pitch you send sounds personable, so that I don't have a feeling that you emailed hundreds of other people with like this copy paste sort of email. So it's very important that you also did research on what it is that my platform, or whatever platform you're trying to pitch to, has done before. If I cover fashion, and if I cover society and events in New York City, you shouldn't send me a pitch on like how to best deal with, you know, animals on a farm or something like that. So, it has to make sense. So please, before you send pitches to your whatever platform you want to be on, please do the research and also make sure that they haven't done something like that just very recently. It always has to be a fresh, interesting idea. So back to your question, what is the difference between a TV segment pitching and online and print pitching? Correct? That was the question. So I think you have to kind of visualize for TV segment, it has to be something that would be interesting for the audience of that TV show. And obviously, producers don't have a lot of time. They get a lot of emails and a lot of pitches. There's a lot of people that they want to be on that TV show. So, first of all, because it's a really big audience, and then it can be recycled over and over and over. So, it's important that it's short, to the point, clear what it is that you want to do, and that you're not wasting producers' time. So don't send a monologue on your like, attach a media kit or some of the things that you've done before, especially if they're associated to the show that you're pitching to, so that they remember that maybe you were on before. But one or two sentences that clear uh, talk to the producer, clearly talk to the producer what it is that you want to do. So that's when it comes to TV pitching. Yeah, I mean, it depends how far in advance you're pitching. Obviously, if it's a TV show, you cannot pitch something for next week because usually they have a lot of things lined up. You have to think in advance. You have to think of what is trending depending on the month. So, like, let's say it's February and it's Valentine's Day, that it's like a big happening of this month. So that was probably booked beginning of January, so you have to think in advance. And if they don't respond, don't get discouraged. Keep emailing. If you want to do a follow up, don't do a follow up. And this, by the way, counts for both, for online and print or TV segments. Don't bother this person. Like if you sent an email today, don't send an email tomorrow. Oh, did you have a chance to look at my email? No, give it some time. Let this person, get through their emails, because it can get annoying. So just to go back to online and print, if you send me a pitch for my platform for Pop Style TV, and I didn't respond, I mean, mm, probably I didn't like it that much, because if I do like something, I respond most of the time right away. If not, I need some time to process it and see if I can use it somewhere, or if I can, get an idea where to incorporate it. But also, like, don't email me the next day. Oh, did you receive my email? Or, I get a lot of products to test. So if you send me a product to test, does not automatically get you a placement. I'm usually very clear if someone wants to send something to me, like a tanning lotion or whatever. I tell them, I will consider it, I will test it out. And most of the time, it can happen that you don't like the product. So what are you going to do if you're emailing me 10 times after that? Obviously there's like a reason why I didn't include it in like a gift guide or whatever it was intended for, because maybe it's not what I something I want to recommend. I think that that's also very important. Your word, or whatever it is that you're recommending, you want to make sure that your viewers um, can trust you, and that you have certain reputation when it comes to what it is you want them to test out and try. So when it comes to pitching to online and comes to pitching to print, those emails could be a little longer. You can elaborate, and especially if it's your client or your brand, show why is that product, or why is that person, or whatever it is you're pitching different. um, make it interesting. Make sure that in the first few lines you catch my attention, or the person you're pitching to. um, and But also don't make it way too long, because nobody's really reading it. And I think it's important also to not have attachments. Just put it in the body of the email, so that way I don't have to download anything, I don't have to get lost in attachments, fill up my drive or whatever it is. Just in my opinion, put everything in the email. And also, if you're pitching a story that is also already ready to go, if it's a post event coverage, or something that already happened, or if you have 5 clients and you want to put those 5 clients, these are sustainable brands everyone should check out, for example, have it maybe ready to go, because sometimes we're all in need of content. So I don't need to call you, or I don't need to email you back and forth, but rather I already have something ready that I can just post and work with. So that's that. Those are some things that come to
Right. And you never know when you're going to go back to the email inbox to do a search. So just because it wasn't responded to, it doesn't mean that it might not be relevant. I always say to my PR students is subject line is very important. Don't make it spammy. Like click here, you're going to delete that. say in the email, say in the subject what it is about. And the first sentence, don't waste your time with pleasantries, right? Get right into it.
Yeah.
And I always say, write in bullet points. I like bullet points, it's easier on the eyes. And offer to send a sample, but it's really not a requirement. You don't want to inundate someone with samples. I want to get back to the point about uniqueness. I think a lot of what we do here on this podcast is show, not just tell. So I think it's one thing to say, find what's unique, right? But founders are so close to their product, maybe they don't know what's unique. So how can they start to discover what is unique about their product in a way that would be receptive to someone like you?
I think you're so right about that. A lot of times, founders of brands aren't very objective with what it is that they're presenting. So I do think that before they go out and pitch, they should maybe ask their friends or practice with family members. Like, what do you think? How does this sound? How could I describe my product in few words, but make it interesting and get to the point. Because that's sometimes all it takes, you know. If I see, makeup that will give you an instant facelift, it's something like that. That could be like, oh, what is it? So get us curious.
Yeah. What about following trends? Like, for example, there's so many aspects about someone's beauty line, right? They might have 50 different products. How can they pick what is the best one to pitch for this season?
Well, I think if they already have a beauty line, they would know what sells the most. So what their clientele is interested in the most. It's almost as if you are going to a restaurant and you ask them, "Oh, so what you're famous for this special dish? I'd love to try it." I mean, it can be applied to products as well. So I think if they have a big line of items, they should pick one that not every other beauty line has. So it's sort of unique to that brand and is an item that sells the best or the most, that kind of gets most interest. So I think that's fair. I mean, that's kind of a secure way to figure out what it is that your buyers want and need, and how to get more more of them.
Yeah, and any kind of special formulation, maybe some colors, that are trending. What about putting your pitch in a way that ties to what a celebrity is wearing, right? Like, let's say if you have a handbag that's really unique shape, or if you do like hair coloring, and Rihanna was seen with this hair color, would that be a great way to pitch and be like, Rihanna was recently seen, with this new X, Y, and Z, and this is reflective of our brand? Would that be a kind of a great way to get into your inbox?
Yeah, I think that that's great. I think a lot of brands do that, but I think it is interesting to, this like, oh, who wore it better, or people sort of wearing a similar outfit to a celebrity. I think that's sort of trending, especially on social media. So it would be interesting for a brand to feature their products that way, for sure,
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't look like an exact copy of, whatever high-end brand. um it just, I don't think that that benefits the smaller, less known or new brand, because they want to be unique. They do want to have their unique style versus copy some other style. But when it comes to color or shape, I think it's good. It's all about wording and presentation.
Yeah. What about using social media hashtags? Let's say it's a very early stage founder making a serum, in their house. Let's say Rihanna or any celebrity didn't necessarily use a serum yet, but it is trending on TikTok, for example, right? Would that be a great way to pitch and be like, for example, I made this facial cupping, facial massage wand, and this has been trending on TikTok. Would that be a great way to hook you, like in the first few sentences?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think for sure, because somehow every month there is a new trend. Sometimes it's like a snake venom cream, and people go crazy over it. So sometimes that lasts a month or less, but I think it's important to use the buzzing of the trending hashtag, for sure, for sure.
What's another way to get on your radar if it's not trending yet on social media and no celebrity has endorsed it and they're still super early stage? How else can they get on your radar?
I do think that in this industry, it is very important to keep relationships and to not show up only when you need something, right? Because there is a lot of, there are some brands, maybe some of them are not so new, few years, but don't once, even if we include you in something, don't disappear and then reappear 2 years later and expect we're going to feature you again. Like, show also us some support or keep us posted. I mean, don't send out a bunch of emails every day or week, but keep our memory fresh. Keep us posted. um it's also important, like, if I'm thinking of a story and I need an item or I need something to include, I would remember someone that maybe, you know liked something on our social media, or someone that sent me an email last week. I think that's very important, to keep up, to remind people, hi, I'm still here. Yes, our brand is still growing. Oh, this event was amazing. Look, it's very important to keep our memory fresh.
I love what you said because you just need that one yes. And once you have that yes, you have their ear, you have the trust. They have been a vetted media person. And there's no limit to the amount of stories, right? It's not like once you feature them once, it's like, oh, your turn is done next, right? It's only going to be more opportunities. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. And I think a lot of people forget about that. It's not a rule that you can get featured once in each publication. No, it can go on and on.
Yeah.
So, because, like I said earlier, we all always need content. We all do need unique stories, unique products, unique ideas. So, yeah, never miss out on possible options and opportunities, for sure.
How do you feel about, so you said social media, connect with you, support your work. I teach that as well. So that way it doesn't seem super transactional. I always say turn on your notifications. If this journalist is writing about something, share it, engage it. Those are all gestures of goodwill. What are some of the other things that an unknown founder founding their first product can do to prepare themselves to get this earned organic PR?
They have to be active daily. They have to make it interesting for others, because that's their product. Like, I'm not going to pay attention to it unless you're out there showing it to the world. So that's one of the things. But gifting, letting people try your product. If you are so sure it's such a great product, people will talk about it. I don't want to recommend something I didn't try, or I don't know what it exactly is. How am I going to promote it or share it with my friends? So you have to kind of give people an opportunity to see that, to feel that product, to, even if you want to bring someone out for a coffee, or even if you're going to an event yourself. I remember this lady showing me her little perfume cream at an event that had nothing to do with it, and I thought it's super fun and interesting, and I featured the product later. But yeah, she met me at a random event, had her product handy, pulled it out of her purse, showed it to me, and I loved it. I thought it was great. So I think, actual practical and visual presentation is important. So instead of someone just telling you about it.
I love what you said about seeing every moment as an opportunity in life. I really do find that the more I do this work and helping thousands of founders, it's really about mindset because the startups that I work with that have hundreds of millions of dollars and someone who's making necklaces in their garage, they can still get featured on the same place. It's what they believe is possible. So I love what you said about taking opportunity, not being super persistent with like, did you read my pitch, but maybe finding a new angle of relevance, like right? Like so maybe keep in contact with you if you didn't respond, but maybe in the next quarter and be like, hey, this is what's trending right now. How can we collaborate? Right?
Yeah.
Do you think that's the best energy to have? Is the energy of how can we collaborate? How can we co-create instead of being like, please, please, please feature me. We're launching. We need to get this out there. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you cannot force anyone to feature you, or because it is about approach, and it's about, yeah, being persuasive, but like not too pushy, because
Yeah.
then it's then it gets uncomfortable, and I keep bringing up this one cream someone sent me. I got like 10 follow-up emails after that. When is it going to be featured? It's not going to be featured. It's not.
If you have to ask when it's going to be featured, you're already doing it wrong.
Exactly, exactly. It's about, because I was very clear on, if you want to send it, but I'll see if I can put it somewhere, or if it's a product that we can include. And then I feel like it wasn't really taken seriously what I said. It seems like my words are twisted, and clearly there's an email thread so you can read exactly what we sort of discussed. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a turn
How
off, and it's something that, it's I don't want to work with people like that. I'd rather work with people who want to give me an opportunity to, ask questions, process whatever they're pitching, and include it down the road. Because, like I said, it's very important to build those relationships. Another thing to keep in mind is people in my industry, they freelance, they work for smaller and bigger platforms. So don't dismiss them if they're like writing for an outlet that you've never heard of but has good articles or good features, because that same writer or that same producer might work for today's show tomorrow. So that's very important to keep in mind, because I think a lot of people just, especially if it's a new brand, oh, they think, oh, I need to be featured in Vogue tomorrow. No, that's not how it works. Every placement is important, and every relationship is important. So if someone wants to feature you and you are not interested because you've never heard of their magazine, you might be making a very big mistake, because that same person might really also be writing for, I don't know, Forbes. So
boom. I love what you said about it. And in fact, right now at the time of recording, one of the biggest changes I think in media and PR is this kind of pivot towards freelancers, right? Because as the budgets are being cut, a lot of outlets just don't have the capacity to have full-time staff anymore. So it is very likely that the person you come across will write for multiple outlets. And actually that's a
exactly.
good thing, right? That's a good thing. I think a lot of founders are worried. They're like, "Oh, well this editor is no longer at Allure and Vogue," and I'm like, okay, well that's more opportunity for you because that one freelancer is going to write for a lot more. So I love how you just validated that. I have another question is, so we talk a lot about pitching and following up, for like digital gift guides like BuzzFeed, but you're someone who has done shopping segments for live TV. So let's say someone finds the email address of a producer, a host, a personality, and the director. Who should they be emailing? Can they email multiple people at an outlet? Like, what's the rule of thumb here?
I think don't put a bunch of people on one email. Like I said in the beginning, it should be, personable, and not copy paste. So you should make that person feel special, you know? not not email a bunch of people on of the same show and expect, like, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, well, one of us might respond, or, oh, this is just a spam. So no, I think that uh, whoever you're reaching out to, it should be one individual that you are directly speaking to.
Yeah, but what if they also write another email to like the producer? So they're individual emails, but maybe it's more than one person at one outlet. Is that okay? Do you talk to each other and verify that this person has emailed you, or is that not really an issue?
I do think that people do talk to each other. It depends. Like, if I have one person at a show, I'm gonna stay loyal to that one person, because also that one person will feel maybe weird about me reaching out to somebody
Well,
else.
after you made the contact with them.
I'd prefer to focus on one, but I think some people do.
Yeah, like if you haven't met anybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I do think that some people practice emailing multiple people at the same outlet. But I think that's more like PR agencies, and I think that's more people who actually um, have a
Yeah.
business. I'm not sure about individuals. I do think that some of the producers did tell me, that they don't like when you email a bunch of people of a show. Even though that information is out there,
Yeah, definitely, for a show, I think it's a little bit more tight knit. Who should people be emailing to get onto a TV segment?
producers of the show, or like your talent booker.
Talent booker. Okay, love that. So producer, talent booker. What is the turnaround time for broadcast TV live segment versus, getting on like a Vogue or like a Fast Company online blog?
I think it depends. I think things can happen last minute. Even when it comes to live TV, you do have to pitch way in advance. But sometimes somebody cancels or gets sick, or there is a scandal and they no longer want that person on their show. They quickly need to find a replacement. So it can happen, especially if it's a breaking news. If you're an expert on royals, or if you're an expert on politics, or something happened that they need an expert within the next 3 hours, then yes, that turnaround is very fast. If you were on the scene, if something happened, they'll call you and be like, oh, can you come tonight to the studio? So it's just all, you cannot predict it. That's what it is. And it can also happen that you booked a show a month ago, but because there is breaking news, you are moved to another month, or they'll call you and tell you, hey, we can't do this today, we'll get back to you, and you might never go. So that's the that's how this business works. You have to be ready for unexpected um
Yeah.
opportunities, or for things to change last minute.
So let's say you're an expert in your field, right? Let's say you're an astrologer or you're someone who makes tarot cards. You don't know because we don't know what your editorial calendar is. No one has a crystal ball. How can that person set themselves up for success so that when you are looking for someone, that their name can be picked?
That's what I said earlier. You have to keep yourself fresh in their memory. So find ways, follow them on social, comment, some random thing they posted. So yeah, keep yourself visible. Don't just show up when you feel
Oh,
like you need to be
yeah, I love
featured.
that. It's all about relationship building and not, oh, I need to get coverage for my business, so I want to start pitching now. I love what you said about taking the long term view.
Yeah, that's very important, because people in this industry, most are sticking around. So, you know, um, even if it's someone that was a PR, he or she might be a producer of Drew Barrymore show in the next few years. Or if you met I met someone who worked for Nick Cannon's show, Now he works for another show. So, you know, people circulate
Yeah.
in this industry.
Yeah. I love that. Such good tips. You've given us so many things to work with. Is there anything else that people should know as like first time pitching has never been featured? Anything like that's like a do's or don'ts or anything that they should know?
Well, don't take no's to, don't let them devastate you. There will be a yes. The more emails, or the more pitches you send out, bigger chance you'll get more yeses. So don't give up. You have to be persistent and just keep going. And don't expect things to happen in 3 days. They're not. Like, don't lose motivation. Try to keep that motivation up.
So I love how you validated that. Is so how can people find you and learn more about you and your work and what you're covering in hopes that maybe one day they'll be able to get interviewed by you?
Well, I mean, they can follow me on my social media. It's Tiana Style. My name is spelled with J, Tiana Style. And then, of course, they can go on Pop Style TV. So we cover a lot of events, especially in New York City, but all around the world as well. So I do like to cover international happenings as well. I think, especially when it comes to red carpets and fashion, there's so much happening in Middle East, in Europe. So I do think that people should stay informed about what happens in the rest of the world as well. And so I love providing coverage.
You're such a jet setter, and I hope to see you in real life. We're both in the same city, so we will definitely manifest that. Thank you so much for being on the show.